It's currently minus 27 degrees this morning. I'm pretty sure this is as cold as it's gotten this whole winter. While there was a time where this would be typical weather, it doesn't really get this cold anymore very often. So anyways, it's time for a long overdue update on the container hatchery. There's some ice forming here. So I knew it was going to be really cold, so I put this little space heater on half power here, pointed at the door. This is because there is condensation on the door. I probably should put insulation and cover my clownfish pattern in the winter. You can see it's really dripping down since I came in. It's just the door. The walls don't have any kind of condensation despite the fact it's humid. But the heater is stopping this from icing. You can see there is ice here. This is really the only cold spot. So it's still kind of a mess in here. It'll probably always be a mess. But you can probably hear the water splashing. There are tanks in here. There are fish. There was a bit of a delay in everything. Of course, these kind of things take longer than you would think. I'm just one person. And I'm not really good at constructing. So I was a little bit taken aback when I had a bit of an issue with the container itself. So where I'm standing here, there was like a soft spot in the floor. Basically, it was spongy. So when you would walk by this tank stand and saw and all this would rattle. And I was like, well, okay, over here, I'm not gonna have tanks. It's not that bad. But it spread a little bit and I really didn't know what to do. It's really hard to find information on reefer floors. So I joined this trucking forum and people were like, oh, I mentioned it was a shipping container that was stationary. They're like, oh, it's no big deal. Just jack it up and weld a few cross supports and you'll be fine. I'm like, well, I can't jack it up. It's stationary. There's water and power connected. I don't have a jack, nor do I know how to weld. So I was worried I was going to have to take the floor out and replace it. Now, I could cut it out from the inside and just put traditional flooring. So this whole thing is aluminum. Underneath there is insulation, and then there is a steel plate or something at the bottom. I found a video of someone in New Zealand actually who was using a container for hydroponics, and he ripped out the floor, so at least I knew what was underneath. Then I found another container YouTube channel where the guy suggested first to jack it up, but then he also said that they had some success with self-tapping screws, really long ones. So I figured, okay, I'll try this because it's within my skill set and it's not going to cost a ton of money. Well, it's really, really, really hard to find long metal self-tapping screws in Canada. I have no idea why. I figured they might not have them at Home Depot, but they would stock them. They don't stock them. I went to like construction websites that just sell fasteners and whatnot, and none of them had really long screws. Fastenal do sell them, but like you need an account, and I think you have to spend $1,000 and whatever. So finally I found them. Actually, in the US, they're not that hard to find. I found several places that did sell them. But most of them didn't want to ship to Canada. So I ended up getting these 6-inch self-tapping screws shipped to Michigan and had to go get them. And you know what? They worked like a charm. So I actually put too many in here, but you can see them. This is where the floor was soft. The only tricky part was I had to find where the cross beams are, because you can't just drill into the insulation. You need to hit the cross beams as well. So the floor is 100% stable again. You could drive a car in here again, and the weight of the tanks is not an issue or anything. So it wasn't structural. It was just that this was actually loose. So what likely happened is when I had the container moved in place, it just unattached or delaminated is what they call it. So I don't know why they don't screw it in. It's just glued on or something like that. So anyways, more to the fish. I have rack 1 about 75% complete. There are tanks on the bottom, and in the middle there are those tubs. Up top, I just have these 10-gallon tanks sitting here. They're not in use because of where they're drilled and the fact that they're painted. It's obviously not practical to put them here. So I need to get new 10-gallon tanks. I also discovered that Marineland sometimes temper their 10-gallon tanks. Now, I have drilled a lot of 10-gallon tanks, and I have broke a few because the glass is so thin, but that was the first time I ever encountered a tempered 10-gallon tank, and it shattered. And then some people tried to tell me all 10-gallon tanks are tempered. It's like, come on. I can show you Seapora, other Marineland, Aqueon, Perfecto. I even have some old all glass aquarium 10 gallons. They're all drilled fine, other than the fact the glass is thin. But anyways, so in here I have some maroons. I did just turn on the lights, so they have just woken up, although they look like they're ready for their day. So these guys are basically saleable size, so they would be 1.25 inches to probably 1.75 inches for the biggest ones. Over here, I've just got a mix of Ocellaris. Not too many. The system is pretty new, and there's currently not a protein skimmer on it, so I didn't want to just throw all my fish in here. There's still quite a few in the house. Normally, I don't put stuff in the tanks. The reason for that is I find that if you give the fish hiding spots, they will establish territories and start fighting more. But I needed some extra filtration in here, and it's not practical to put this over the sump just yet. So there's some black snowflakes, Darwin, regular Ocellaris, Da Vinci, Orange Storm, Wyoming White. I think that's a frostbite too. Yeah. And then the tubs, I originally bought these tubs for larvae. I thought they would be better than 10-gallon tanks. All the big professional places use round tubs. The big problem though with them is they're black. So it's very hard to see the fish, the larva. Baby fish though, it's fine. So I've got some in here that are probably, I don't know, 1/4 inch. Again, there's not too many. I just happen to have a few smaller clutches. So there's, I don't know, 30 or 50 in here, 30 or 50 in there. Going forward though, I will put several hundred per tub. So basically, I plan on using these once they pass metamorphosis. So maybe 3 weeks old, 4 weeks old at the most. I will move them out here, and then they can be transferred to these tanks to grow it further. Generally, I probably won't put full-size fish in these. I'll have other spots for them, of course. There will be a lot more racks installed. The next one will go here, and then I can kind of have everything separated and then start separating fish by size, not just age, and then even by type, so that, you know, if someone is like, do you have 20 black snowflakes? I can say yes or no without having to be like, oh, let me go net them and count them. And then the 10-gallon tanks too will also work for smaller fish. And then even I can do pairings in them and whatnot. So the sump is this IBC tote. I cut off the top. The top is up here. Eventually, I plan on using this as a refugium/algae scrubber. I just have to set it up still. So the tote is about, I don't know, 1/3 of the way filled, not even. Eventually, I can add more water volume. There's 100, 150 pounds of rock. I don't know, I didn't weigh it. There's one ginormous piece that's like 50 pounds, so there's quite a bit in there. And then there is some polyp web, Genesis blocks, and I've been adding bacteria to the system. Surprisingly, so far, the water's stayed pretty good. The nitrates haven't climbed. I will be adding more filtration soon. But right now, the water volume is probably in the neighborhood of 200 gallons. So I've been using these polycarbonate sheets to cover everything. This is just kind of the scraps I put over here. These are extremely cheap, both in cost and quality. You might not think that worked out well, but it actually did, because like I suck at measuring and cutting. So I was able to get these guys cut, not perfect, but good enough. And like you can use scissors to adjust them. They're pretty thin. They've worked out well because I like having the water splash in, so that way I don't need air pumps. That does really oxygenate the water. And the fish obviously don't need a ton of flow. So these tanks are just bridged together. I know I need to put a clamp on that, and it looks pretty ugly, but Believe it or not, it was pretty difficult to actually physically connect the two tanks. So they're just, this one just flows into this one and then they drain into the tote. And then the tubs have a 3-inch drain where they're not actually hard plumbed. So that's 1.5 inch pipe that they just drain into. And then I put some mesh around the overflows just so the small fish don't actually end up going down. And then this is able to be continued. So when I get the next rack set up, the next tanks can just be right here. And then the drain can also be continued from here. And the pump can continue from here. I might run a separate pump for the next level because I won't necessarily do too many more tubs. I think I have 2 or 3 more. Maybe I will get more for one more. But I may just run another pump. It depends. These are just cheap Jabo pumps. They're not running at full power now. So I could, in theory, probably do one more rack and it would be okay. I have quite the collection of Instant Ocean buckets. I'm going to attempt to make the tallest tower of buckets in the summer. So yeah, that's basically where I'm at now. I need to get more 10-gallon tanks. I need to get more 2x4s and add another rack. I've also been busy in the house, actually. I've added a lot more fish and there's even a new system in the house. So I should probably make another video about that, which I guess I will do. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. One more thing, I'll just show the heaters. So this one currently shows 76 degrees. They are running a lot more given that it is minus 27 outside, like I said. But it's no problem to heat this place. Obviously, it's a little bit more expensive with the heaters running almost all the time. Once there's more water in here, though, it will really hold in the heat better. That's the other thing with the lids. It will help keep the temperatures warmer. You can see the system is currently at 79.4. I don't know why I use Fahrenheit for aquariums, I guess because that's what people do online. Everything else is Celsius. Anyways, it's getting long. Thanks for watching. Happy reefing.